We are staying in the Dreams Flora, the newest Dreams resort and one of the latest resorts in Punta Cana overall. In the next 48 hours, we'll make sure to taste as much food and drinks and enjoy as many amenities as humanly possible so you can get to know this resort, and it all starts right now.
The Flora is located on Cabeza de Toro Beach, a 21-minute drive from the Punta Cana International Airport. We arrived at the hotel early, as we like to do. This was a family trip with my parents, my brother and sister-in-law, and our niece and nephew. We checked in at 11:30. Check-in was smooth and the staff was very friendly. Our rooms were not ready since the official check-in time was 3 p.m., so we headed to the lobby bar for a drink. Before we could even sit down to enjoy our cocktails, we were notified that our rooms were ready ahead of time, which is always welcome news. Our first impressions of the room were excellent, and we can't wait to share more about it later in the video. It's worth noting that 2 of our group's 3 rooms had incomplete minibars, but this was promptly resolved after we called the front desk. After leaving our belongings in the room, we went to World Cafe, the hotel's buffet restaurant. If you've visited other Dreams resorts in Punta Cana, this name is familiar since the restaurant selection is almost identical to this chain's hotels. There is ample outdoor seating in the World Cafe, but since the day was particularly hot, we decided on the smaller but air-conditioned indoor seating area. The buffet's variety was just right, not the most varied we've seen, but not the least either. The staff was very attentive, and everything we tasted, with few exceptions, was flavorful. After lunch, we went to the pool. The main pool close to the beach was crowded and loud music was playing, which was not the vibe we were looking for. We decided to find a more secluded pool section and settled on a more peaceful one. Technically, it was part of the main pool since it was connected, but there was some good distance to the point that you could barely hear the music. This part of the pool had a good shadow, and servers came by several times to take drink orders even though we were the only ones there. This pool was in front of the swim-out rooms, so if you plan to book a swim-out, keep in mind that the pool is open to anyone. John went to the main pool for a while to do aqua aerobics, and it was fun. Traveling with kids made the water park a mandatory activity from day one. The Flora has an on-site water park with 4 slides ranging from mild to medium intensity, the most extreme being Kamikaze. There is also a shallow kids pool. I recently discovered that one of my ears hurts when I splash down into the pool in water parks, so John got to be the fun uncle on this trip. All hotel room safes have a special way to open them so the staff can access them if you forget the code or the electronics fail. When a safe has a way for someone other than you to get in it, your valuables are never 100% secure.
This is why we always travel with this fully lockable safety bag made with cut-resistant materials to protect our valuables. We anchor the bag's cut-resistant strap to a fixed object in the room to protect our most valuable belongings. You can see more details on this bag using the QR code on the screen or the link in the description. If you buy it, we earn a small commission on each sale.
Afterward, we returned to our room to rest before dinner. A fruit platter was waiting for us, which was a nice touch. My nephew said this was the best hotel room he'd stayed in his entire life. Granted, he's 8 years old and has only stayed in 2 hotels. Check out our Dreams Flora tour video for a complete room rundown. Here, we'll share the highlights and what we liked and disliked. The room is spacious and well illuminated. It was beautifully decorated and well distributed. A traditional workstation/dresser would have brought more storage instead of depending solely on the closet. The rooms had all the usual amenities in all-inclusive resorts, but we would have preferred the now more common Nespresso machine instead of the traditional drip coffee maker. The bed and pillows were very comfortable, as was the room temperature. The bathroom was well designed with double vanities, a rain shower head, and a private toilet area. The balcony was simple, but we recommend choosing a different room type for a good view. After resting in the room for a bit, we got ready for dinner at El Patio Mexican restaurant. The setting for El Patio is the indoor portion of the buffet's seating area, which was a bummer as we prefer specialty restaurants with unique settings for variety's sake. However, the food made up for this with a good variety of plates and amazing flavors. Everyone in our party had great things to say about the food. Everything, except for the tamales and the margaritas, was delicious. Live music was outside the restaurant, where guests gathered around the rendezvous bar. This was true for all the nights we spent at the Flora. The night's main show was karaoke. While we enjoy a good karaoke session, it is best suited as a complement before or after a night show, not as the night's main entertainment. After a couple of chess games, we called it a night. The following morning, we tried the breakfast buffet at World Cafe. It was crowded and we had to wait in line for a table. We identified the bottleneck was the waitstaff not turning tables fast enough after guests were finished eating. The small buffet area felt super crowded, but it flowed relatively well. Due to the buffet's size, the variety was not great, but the food was also good for breakfast. After eating, we went for a swim at the pool closer to the rooms. This pool is gorgeous. Its emerald-colored tiles and colorful vegetation made it look more like a lagoon than a pool. The Dreams Flora is a beautiful hotel, gardens and vegetation-wise, so its name is well earned. We found our favorite spot in the bar of this pool. There was great shade, a beautiful pool, and an almost empty bar, where we had delicious cocktails throughout the many hours we spent there. Before we knew it, it was time for lunch. Again, solid at the World Cafe buffet. We decided on the beach for the afternoon. As mentioned, the Dreams Flora is on Cabeza de Toro Beach. Few hotels are in this area, and because it's somewhat secluded, few locals visit this beach, making it less crowded. Cabeza de Toro has pearly white sand and turquoise calm waters. However, this beach stretch has more seaweed patches on the seafloor, which gives it a rougher look than other areas. The Flora's beach stretch has a seaweed barrier that keeps the water relatively free of floating seaweed. The seating area was well organized, with lounge chairs in excellent condition and plenty of palapas for shade. One thing we noted was an unusual number of beach vendors. However, they were not pushy. That night, we chose the Seaside Grill for dinner. As you know, I'm vegetarian, but always willing to take one for the team. The restaurant is not air-conditioned, and there are no fans, so it's completely dependent on the night's temperature. On the positive side, it has a lovely view. Although it was not crowded, service was lower than in other restaurants. I was pleasantly surprised to see vegetarian options on the menu, so I ordered the cauliflower steak and the mozzarella sticks. The sticks were not that good, and they were out of cauliflower steak, so off to the buffet I went. The rest of the party had a nice meal. John's churrasco was cooked more than he ordered, but it was good. I came back in time for dessert, which was also good. After dinner, we went to the theater to see the Dominican-themed night show. It was well produced and the crowd enjoyed it. Afterward, we went to the sports bar. It was basic and empty, so we headed to the arcade next. Games here cost extra. Somehow, some in our group were still hungry and went to the teppanyaki show in the Asian restaurant, having previously made a reservation. It was about 25 minutes late, but super entertaining and the food was delicious. The Asian restaurant was very well decorated. Even though the atmosphere was still lively in the rendezvous bar area, we went to bed. Now, let's give the Dreams Flora Punta Cana an actual rated score. Value for the money. We paid $176 per person per night, scoring it 18 out of 20 in this category at this price. Amenities 20 out of 20. Food 13 out of 15. Room 15 out of 15. Beach 9 out of 10. Service 9 out of 10. Drinks 4 out of 5. Entertainment 3 out of 5. John awards it his 5 points of extra credit, as do I. Dreams Flora is 4th in our rankings with a total score of 101 out of 110. Click the video on the right to see our full video tour of Dreams Flora or the video on the left to learn how to avoid the most common scams in Punta Cana.